What's good, YouTube? And welcome to the house. There's so much to talk about on today's Market Watch, starting with TCG Player with a smash home run, more bonus bucks back, 15% this time. I love the return and the up game of what they've been doing, so bookmark that TCG Player link in the description down below, costing you nothing extra to support the channel directly for the cards you'd already be buying, and set that alarm for November 5th, 4 p.m. in the afternoon Eastern until 10 o'clock p.m. It's only a 6-hour window. That's 3 o'clock Central till 9 o'clock Central p.m. afternoon tonight on November 5th. That being said, we also have another huge announcement today besides this, but know your game plan real quick. If you're a vendor, go ahead and start listing your cards right now so you don't fall behind, and have your inventory ready for customers. If you're a customer and you see that, oh, my card's gone, I'm disparaging, it's so upsetting, sometimes vendors actually end up relisting during the sale or even trying to acquire inventory to get it up during that because of the mass amounts of sales. But if the deal is not worth it to you, don't support the channel using that TCG Player link. Don't end up getting caught up in the word sale. Look at other places and kind of still make a calm decision on, oh, it's actually cheaper to do it on eBay despite this sale. But that being said, there's a reason it's one of the most shopped days on TCG Player when this kind of deal drops. It's one of the maximum amounts of value we've ever seen for it, and it makes me wonder, how do you even one-up this with Black Friday coming? But this is a really good deal that you will want to watch and be prepared and have a game plan for that is tailored towards you. Now, Ghost from the Trash 2 has appeared, aka 2022 Ghost from the Past. There are some upgrades to the set that we'll talk about real quick, but I want to remind you how bad Ghost from the Trash actually was. It started double MSRP. They were $15 per little tuck box, and a case has 50 of those, and it was double MSRP out the gate from the hype of, oh, it could be Ghost Dark Magician Girl, or, oh, these singles could be amazing. Wait, what do you mean our top chase cards evenly matched, which was slated for a structure deck and got plucked out? What do you mean Dragoonity, a structure deck pieced out, is the most exciting thing besides the selection cards, which is like a worse Reigns pack? What do you mean the top aged reprint Emergency Teleport is probably in Grand Creators? The only backbone to this set was Ghost Rares, and there's a really weird conversation happening on Twitter right now around the new contents of the set, so let's talk about the new contents of the set. The second Ghost from the Past set is releasing in April 2022 and is the follow-up to last spring's phenomenon, Ghost from the Past. It's got more of everything that made Ghost from the Past a smash hit, including even more Ghost Rares. And I want to pause real quick. Remember you guys who call me crazy for looking at updated product descriptions recently at conventions and Konami talking about Ghost from the Past and me saying it sure sounds like they thought it was a home run and they might not take too much feedback from that, thinking it did really well selling out early? You hear all this wording? Well, they did take a little bit of feedback that Ghost Rares were too hard to pull. It's not just the roster of Ghost Rares that has expanded either. The drop rate has too, so it's twice as easy to pull a Ghost Rare this time around. But guess what? If they expand the roster and it's twice as easy, let's say they double the roster, well, it still is hard to get an individual Ghost Rare that you might want, but you will be pulling more of the chase in the set. But doing a lottery chase as a backbone has just failed completely. You have to spend like $5,000 on average right now, and that's down in price from release, by the way, to see an average of all 5 Ghost Rares pulled. That is absurd and is not worth the value. You can clearly see here that's around only $1,500, and the singles sure aren't going to make it back. So what happened with Ghost from the Trash to make it trash is you look at Dual Overload, and we even ignore Link Frames pack, right? We had a solid Imperm reprint, right? That was a $30 card up till then. We had Dengirsu and Signet Mining that were supposed to be, you know, potential mega pack reprints, yet that's what every March reprint set does. They did potential mega pack reprints in here, and we had Phantasme as well, along with all those amazing Link Frame pack cards, and we had Alter Arts to top it off, which honestly doesn't do the most for me, and in terms of actual sales doesn't do the most. It's just cool to see. So Dual Overload was the total package, but even taking away the Link Frames pack cards looks pretty solid for the typical March reprint set, and that's why it's almost doubled in value over time versus, say, this that started out double in value and has only gone down so far. Now with a successor in line, maybe people will go for the sealed even though it's not the greatest set, kind of like Gold Series, right? Like the singles don't have to be that great for the set to appreciate, right? But with twice as easy a rate to pull as Ghost, that's just 2 per case. That's 1 per 25 of those little tuck boxes if we're going by last year's ratio. 2022's version of Ghosts from the Past is another all-foil set, and each 5-card pack comes with 5 ultra rares, one of which would be replaced by a ghost rare. Each box of upcoming Ghosts from the Past comes with 4 packs. So I think Nimnim said something along the lines of who asked for more ghost rares. Looking at my community, it was pretty much everybody trying to open the set. People were hoping for a Haunted Mine situation. I told you no shot, no way. It was worse than I thought it could be in terms of how the singles actually turned out when we look at history. But my thought on it is this long term. The only people who won on Ghosts from the Trash were people who pre-ordered it or people that got extremely lucky winning the lotto, buying only a couple packs and managing to see that 1 in 50 box ghost rare, aka 1 in 250 boxes to see an individual ghost rare that they would want. We're talking lottery odds basically. So I would think about your game plan when things go on pre-sale, if they do go at a decent rate, because vendors could be looking at this like, oh, waves could be coming, I need to be careful with allocation, I need to do this, and you could see pre-sales go away very fast, as they actually did last year as well. But yeah, Dual Overload's the perfect example of one of the best March reprint sets of all time, and this is by far, in terms of the actual reprints and introductions, one of the worst, and then showing how the lottery chase card system isn't exactly the most solid thing in the immediate, but we will continue to watch this in the long term. Gravity Collapse got, you know, bought out, quote unquote. They're still low price quantities, and this was brought to my attention. So as market man, I'm always kind of skeptical when I see a ton of movement all of a sudden on a card. Like, the people interested in this going up might have contacted me, but I will say with Sword Soul, it's an interesting tech. Activate by sending a face-up synchro monster you control the graveyard when your opponent summons a monster. That's any kind of summon. Negate the summon and destroy that card. Your opponent cannot summon a monster till the end phase of this turn. This only has 2 printings, one of which is OTS and one of which is Starstrike Blast. So if you're considering this as a tech within Sword Soul, you want to test with it. I might get that sooner than later using that TCG player link in the description down below, costing you nothing extra. Support the channel directly for the cards you'd already be buying, because I remember this getting hyped before, and it actually does seem somewhat noteworthy that you could end and floodgate somebody's entire turn of summoning if they don't start by going for your back rows, and then with your board you usually also are able to put up negation too. That could just completely blow out an entire game if you're not playing against a back row deck. Penny Stonk Alert, Harpy's Featherstorm has turned out pretty nice if you listened to me in the past. This card, another turn-long floodgate. It happens if you control the Wind Wing Beast type monster until the end of this turn. Negate any monster effects your opponent activates. If you control Harpy, you can do this from the hand. This is really good just in general as a floodgate-like card, and even the common, super, now, of course, Duelist Saga, which is even harder to get, talking about past March reprint sets, one of the worst performing short-term, well-performing long-terms. All of them have gone up in price and super low in quantity. So maybe there's a card you didn't know was money, or if you did go on penny stonks before, you're doing pretty darn good for yourself. Try Brigade Kit. We pulled this up on stream last night. It was $5. It's up even more. And my opinion is this. If you were one of the people complaining about it going up to $4 and saying, I'll wait for it to go back down in price, when the Megatons just put a budget version of Tri Brigade in everybody's hands, you were mad on the copium, and I could easily see this being $8 soon. Look at this. It's just continuing to go up in price. Now, I also noticed direct by TCG Player up here, there's a new system where people ship it into warehouses as fulfillment by TCG Player. So do be aware this top price isn't actually always the cheapest, and I just caught myself there. So 5s are actually what it is at, but that direct by TCG Player can go up in your face and kind of confuse you, especially with how TCG Player's been lately, where you see something that's cheaper, but then it's more expensive and vice versa because the system can't keep up. So be careful from getting yourself caught up in that system. But yeah, I think if you're waiting for Kit to go down, you're going to be waiting until next year's Megatons, mayhaps. Number 75, Gossip Shadows going up in price for the secret rare. All I can think is number hunting / the actual potential for this card has always been pretty wild, but there's still the very easy access super rare from Toon Chaos, and Toon Chaos is its own can of worms in terms of a set that is legendary, but I would consider having your copy if you just want it for number collecting sooner than later as a max rarity. I don't see when this would get another reprint anytime soon. Lava Golem dual terminal bought out. I'm going to repeat this. I'm just not the biggest fan of covering DT buyouts because 1 through 4 went on clearance a long time ago. So you have vendors, every time there's even a buyout, just not bothering to even list their copies of certain cards. And the dual terminal has the first Ed Secret from Pharaonic Guardian, Retro Pack, and Dark Revelations as competition for holos before you even get to a special edition ultra rare and a starter deck ultra rare. There's just too much competition in my mind for this, but the dual terminal does look genuinely very nice, and I do wonder also with DT being a gimmick in terms of foiling for the upcoming Hidden Arsenal sets if you'll see DT reprint cards included. But yeah, this is just kind of one of those silly ones that I think will cool off after a little bit, but maybe there's some actual heat behind this one. I couldn't resist the pun. Baroness de Fleur. I didn't know the name was changed from Baroness. She continues to go up right here, and I've been telling you that I think that might be the case. You're in a Duelist pack, even if I'm not calling it a Legendary Duelist, which it is in terms of marketing in the TCG. OCG went back to Duelist pack for their marketing, and it's 3 Duelists instead of 5. The Legendary part now is I guess we finally got Ghost Rares in our Duelist packs, and the Ghost Rare might get passed by Baroness here soon. A lot of people are trying to apply general advice that does not go generally towards specifics. This being in a Duelist pack also still has short prints, unlike core sets. And a lot of people are saying, if you just wait a couple weeks after release, card prices go down. I cannot emphasize enough that typically goes towards rogue decks, secondary decks, and certain pieces of other things. And if you're looking right now, almost everything in the set is going up because it's really still cheap for the sealed, but it's still not worth opening to a lot of people versus selling the sealed. Now, as these continue to go up and people want other cards, that may get more of this to open, but that will only result in people fulfilling the quantities they wanted, so not really decreasing too much of the demand, while actually lowering the supply pool of the sealed. So what's happening here is going to be that balance that we've seen with probably every Legendary Duelist of sealed and singles going both up in prices. Pay attention to every Legendary Duelist, and that's been the case. But in this case, as I've explained to you, the marketing and how Rage of Ra was saved by Ghost Ra, this is a Duelist pack with successful cards, and historically, every Duelist pack with meta cards has done well for itself, and the single has done well for itself. Ghost Murder and Moonlit Chill is just kind of the perfect card that I wanted to point out for TCG players, bonus bucks back, because the Starlight Rares almost out of quantities has been slowly going up in price, and a lot of people are eyeing it. And look at that! You would think this is so expensive because of this direct buy BS thing. Dude, come on, just scroll down. Don't give me that shock value of a YouTuber O-face. But seriously, at 250, 260, 300, I could see this being towards 400 very fast, as a lot of people are considering it for upcoming formats. But I wouldn't panic too much if you just want another version of the card. The Ultra Rare is so affordable, and she's likely to get her Alter Art in Gold series, I would think. But we'll wait and see to see if there's any confirmation on that. But I can't imagine them missing that, Ghost Girl in Gold Rare to match the others. I was looking at Donna Majesty and just looking at how the quantities were going, and I noticed Buy Trooper, as people used to call it, well, B Trooper's going down in price as the new support just didn't hit home for a lot of people. It left a lot of lacking feelings. These other decks are getting also better that are going to enter the format, and B Trooper, it just didn't keep up. So a lot of hype out there and a lot of people abandoning their deck or stonks that they thought could be mega stonks. And to be fair, whenever you go with the TCG World Premiere archetype, you're gambling that Konami's going to be on your side, which it's a lot rarer than it is actual hits on that. Super Doppel Warrior is just really expensive. I feel like we covered this not too long ago. Synchro, good stuff. Thanks to Donna Majesty, got a lot of attention, along with past formats where Doppel Warrior is actually used in Synchro decks. So this is the only holo foil version of it. The other cool version is a Storm of Ragnarok rare, before we're talking only common. So this is the only holographic out of Legendary Collection 5Ds, which has never been unlimited waived, which is producing a lot of really expensive cards right now. 2021 Tins of Ancient Battle, I'm mainly here just because the price of this keeps going down. We're entering Wave 2 here. A lot of vendors should finally have Wave 2 in their hands. Most orders should finally be freaking fulfilled. I know vendors have been so stressed about that, and the situation's just so unclear. Konami only did their one little statement for them to point them to on Twitter, but at least Konami made a statement there, right? They did the minimal. So looking through here, the sealed's going down a lot. We see a lot of cases at 200 now, and people are like, wait, should I have sold? Should I diamond hands? Well, if you could have sold at 300 right out the gate, congratulations. That was probably the optimal time. You're in it for the diamond hands if you're going with the set, and there will still be Wave 3, bringing extra coolant to the demand, but the singles are really staying up because of the worth point of opening versus what the singles are versus how things are. But I would expect a little more coolant on some of the singles here coming up, as we no longer in that territory of 40 listers, but over 100 listers on talents and stuff like that. Yet, the competition is really barely undercutting each other. Moki is money for every version. Somebody in my stream didn't know that last night, so I just wanted to include it here. I believe this is anciently from ARA sending fairies, so you could Christia afterwards, if I'm not mistaken. And then Moki has just become an icon in itself. I believe that and Happy Lover were the ARA targets, if I'm not too mistaken. But yeah, it was funny. You could dump 4 fairies and then summon Christia back in the day off of Advanced Ritual Art is ARA that I'm referencing. So Moki, just memes equal money. We've seen it with Jerry Bean's Man of All cards. This is one of the ancient ones. And finally, Pseudospace is an example of a card I just wanted to bring up. The kind of ones that I stare at and really look at when I pick bulk, and even if it's not worth money right away, I would go ahead and set it aside and not list it. This card reads, once per turn, you can remove from play 1 field spell card in your graveyard to have this card treated as that card and gain the same effects until the end phase. This was last good with like Chicken Game, and then it got a reprint in the Mechanized Madness, Machine Reactor, my bad, structure deck with the Ancient Gears, if I'm not mistaken. And with only those 2 printing still, I feel like the original rare is something that one day could pop off, and you could see like a $5 common, a $10 rare, but that's also where player brain hits market brain, and you could be years on end if you actually spend money doing that kind of thing versus actual results. So that's where player brain can clash, and that's why as I went on, I would continue to try to do copies I would get out of bulk, or see it in a binder, try to get it as a throw-in on a deal, not really go after it proactively. And I wanted to use this as an example of penny stonks that wouldn't always make it if I even suggest it, or could take a long time of you sitting on them and just having passive, like hoping one day it doesn't get reprinted with some holofoil in an OTS pack versus realizing itself and its potential. So when we talk penny stonks and we talk the successes of penny stonks, where is it? This kind of card like Harpy's Featherstorm, well, it's not always success stories, and there's a lot of misses along with the hits. You can't always be right, even if you're market man. Thanks for watching today's Market Watch. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed the conversations. And the Twitter conversation is interesting. There's a lot more takes that I didn't consider, and that's what I really like about Yu-Gi-Oh! Twitter. I would say in terms of like drama, there's not a lot of it, and actual open conversations where people go back and forth and are really open with their thoughts like this. It's super interesting to actually see takes out there and what people think. So what do you guys think of Ghosts from the Trash or Ghosts from the Past 2? However it may turn out from the current juncture, just from the inception, just from them saying they're doubling the ratio to 1 in 25 boxes. I want to hear, do you think the only winners will be pre-orders again? Do you think Konami is really full of themselves with how it sold last year? Or do you think there will be good reprints alongside the lottery chase cards? How do you think this one's going to come together? Because the 2022 Megatons, they don't have a lot of value in them outside of, like, look how the sets turned out. Outside of, you know, our most current set releasing, Burst of Destiny, you have Diviner, you have Pot of Prosperity, you have very few cards even in terms of value from Dawn of Majesty, like mid-value cards. It's going to be a struggle to make the 2022 10s good, and I don't feel like they can afford reprints from it in here, but we will wait and see. Sorry for the super long market watch, but there was a lot of theory, along with a lot of cards. So much is happening on the market. It's like IRL events are back or something, and people are preparing, so it's churning a lot of change.